So in 2004, there was a campaign that Scope launched. Part of the launch was done alongside Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, so this was a very high-profile campaign. Obviously, thanks partly to Nelson Mandela being involved in the launch, which was called Time to Get Equal. And what that focused on was the concept of disableism, which at the time wasn't a word that was in the English dictionary. We wanted to encourage that word. I mean, it was being used by disabled people's organisations well before that, but it wasn't a word that you'd find in the dictionary. And we made quite a big sort of campaign around, we should acknowledge that disableism exists in the same way that as racism or sexism does. And this was at the point where Scope really started to embrace the social model of disability and to start talking about how disableism affected disabled people's lives on an everyday basis. So it was quite a high-profile campaign, and we got quite a lot of support from various high-profile figures, including Nelson Mandela.
I think that the social model is something that Scope keeps at the core of everything it does right up until this day and going forward. So in more recent history, in 2006, which it sounds recent, but is still a very long time ago, we had the Speaking for Ourselves sort of oral history.
Yeah, so basically one of the things that came out of the book that we did, Change This Society, which was an oral history of people who had been involved with Scope. We wanted to take this further. So the Heritage Lottery Fund gave us some money to do interviews, life story interviews with disabled people. And there were people with cerebral palsy over the age of 50. And we had a group of disabled volunteers and a disabled project manager who were involved in running the project. And what we did, we went out and interviewed disabled people, and we pretty much started with when and where you were born, and just had a very sort of open life story interview. So some of the interviews are quite long. Valerie Lang's, for instance, her one runs 17 hours. She had a lot to say about all sorts of interesting things that she'd been involved in over years, and quite a lot of people who took part in the project. There are over 250 hours of recorded material, which is in the British Library Sound Archive, which you can listen to online. It's a really good insight into what it was like growing up with cerebral palsy in the 1950s, when typically you could be told by doctors that your child will never achieve anything, they won't be able to go to school, they won't be able to get a job, and all these expectations, and low expectations of what disabled people could achieve. And what's interesting about the people we interviewed, and we interviewed a wide range of people, but how many of them gone on to achieve all sorts of amazing things, often against the backdrop of being told that they wouldn't be able to do anything. So I think it was a really positive way to get disabled people to talk about their lives. Some of them have gone on to write books about their experiences, but there's also I think there's nothing better than hearing someone's voice talking about their lives. And as I say, I'm hoping that over the years, the recordings in the National Life Story Collection will become a source for historians, and we're able to listen to what it was like being disabled in the 20th century. So people are already beginning to use the resources, and I hope they continue to for many years to come.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, they're one of them running about 17 hours. It definitely seems as though there's a lot to get stuck into for anybody interested in checking them out.
Yeah, I sorry, that does sound daunting, but actually, honestly, Valerie's story, I mean, you can dip in and out of bits that you're interested in, but she has got a lot of things to say. One of the things she talks about is her campaign against the collection dolls that the charity used to have, and how she had a meeting with the person that sort of designed these dolls, and she was sort of had pushed through various committees to get rid of the dolls because she didn't like them. And I think she also campaigned on us changing our name. So she had a very strong voice, and I think somebody who did an enormous amount for the charity to sort of push us in the right directions.
Yeah, definitely. So, as mentioned, this is the 70th anniversary of the organisation, and obviously one of the things that Scope is launching this year is the Disability Equality Awards, which aims to shine a light on individuals, teams or organisations that are doing sort of positive work to contribute to a more accessible and inclusive society for disabled people. So that is one of many events that will be taking place this year to mark the 70th anniversary. If anybody is interested in finding out more about the history of Scope, then you can visit scope.org.uk/history, and you will find a lot of interesting details on that. But for now, thank you, Alex, for joining us and speaking about a lot of the events in Scope's history. It's been really interesting.
Thanks, Ross.